How can EBRD help prepare and help develop its partner banks and other financial institutions to really help grow that increasing demand for supply chain finance?
The growth rate of 2023 is now 3.3% globally in the volume of the world factoring.
It's not about only awareness, education, but it's also about bringing the experts.
Welcome to Trade Finance Talks, your go-to trade, treasury and payments podcast, brought to you by TFG. Hello and welcome to Trade Finance Talks. I'm Dipesh Patel, editor at Trade Finance Global. Today we're at the 2024 EBRD TFP Information Session and Award Ceremony at the 33rd EBRD Annual Meeting and Business Forum in Yerevan, Armenia. It's been great so far. The volatility in geopolitical and macroeconomic environment in recent years has caused many problems in trade, treasury and payments. However, industry actors have adapted and are working with public-private partnerships to really build resilience and make international trade even stronger. And that's what we're talking about today. We want to hear about some of the development in the factoring and supply chain finance world. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Çağatay Baydar, Chairman of FCI, and Irina Tyan, Principal Banker of the Trade Facilitation Program at EBRD, to break this down for us. Çağatay, Irina, welcome to Trade Finance Talks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dipesh. It's great being here today.
Likewise. So quick intro. Who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do? Irina, over to you.
I'm ethnically Korean, but was born in Kazakhstan, then having lived in Russia for 15 years and nearly now 15 years in the UK. I'm a principal banker in the Trade Facilitation Program, responsible for Eastern Europe and Middle East, with focus on factoring and supply chain.
I'm Çağatay Baydar, the chairman of FCI, for the third time in the history, first time and the only one. I'm the executive chairman of TEP Factoring, which is the largest export factor in Turkey and second largest in FCI after CaixaBank. I'm in factoring industry since 1990, so this is more or less my 34 years in the industry, and I was the deputy chairman of Turkish Factoring Association, and still I'm an active ambassador of factoring and trade finance industry globally.
Thank you very much. Well, both of you extremely experienced and very well versed on the changing face of factoring. And Çağatay, I'll start with you. As factoring becomes an increasingly popular solution, it's integrated on a global level. What are some of the main challenges that we've seen in scaling this business?
First of all, let me start with this year's statistic. This year means 2023. The growth rate of 2023 is now 3.3% globally in the volume of the world factoring. Last year, in 2022, it was 18%. In the last 20 years, the average growth rate is 8%. So factoring is becoming a mainstream financial product globally, which is very good indeed. However, factoring is an invoice-based product, and the service of factoring is guarantee, credit protection, and funding, but it's on invoice basis. The main challenge for this is, first of all, the bureaucratic and infrastructure of factoring. It's not a paperless environment, the factoring. This is something very important. Secondly, the knowledge level of the emerging countries. As an information, the penetration of Europe is around 15% in factoring, which means that the emerged countries, developed countries, are very well using factoring. However, in the emerging countries, the penetration rate is very low. For example, Turkey, 3%, Georgia, Lithuania, these are very low penetration rate. But the reason is that there is a lack of knowledge and lack of infrastructure in these developing countries. And then in this specific field, we are becoming together with EBRD and try to put in place factoring law, infrastructure, invoice recording center in developing countries in order to make factoring a usable product. This is the aim of EBRD and FCI together.
Thank you very much. That's a really good overview. And I guess the objective here is how we get to markets like Spain and Germany, which have much higher penetration. Irina, what regulatory changes, given Çağatay's previous comments, do you think are really necessary to build out that regulatory infrastructure to further support the development of both factoring and also, of course, supply chain finance?
I would focus first on EBRD regions. As we work in emerging markets, the factoring and supply chain finance is underdeveloped. And for our region, first and foremost is to have this basis factoring law in place, which gives a clear framework within which the banks and factoring companies can offer the product and also give protection for the users of this product. Moving to more broadly, I would focus on 3 points. First is a standardized data exchange format. So creating common data standards for supply chain transaction would allow for smoother integration between different platforms and financial institutions. And this improve efficiency and reduce administrative burden. As we know, supply chain finance factoring is heavily relies on platforms, on solutions without which you cannot scale up the business. Secondly, as this product heavily rely on platforms, is about cybersecurity regulation. Clear regulation on data security and cybersecurity is crucial to build the trust among the participants. The last but not the least, I think in terms of the regulation, I think ESG focus, because it's becoming more increasingly important. I think, regulators needs to assist, in giving some incentives for supply chain finance program with this ESG links.
Thank you very much, Irina. I'm going to rewind back to your second point, which is really around the implementations of platforms and digital technologies. Çağatay, how has the role of these technologies impacted the factoring industry? Can you go into a little bit more detail on the specific technologies, the uses for platforms, and also some of the challenges in implementing them, and what associations like FCI can do to implement those technologies to grow and scale factoring?
As I said before, factoring is heavily based on a paperwork, on invoice, and the supporting document of the invoices. Especially for international transactions, this paperwork become very important in order to honor the guarantee services. However, today, with the digitalization and the platforms, we are making our business much more faster, effective, and quicker, which really helps SMEs to touch the money very soon, very quickly. I think this digitalization and the platforms makes our SMEs and our clients more happier than before, because at the old times it was slow. It took time, it was taking time, and today it was very fast, very effective, seamless transaction. We see it in digitalization. So this will help to have a higher number of clients in the industry. I mean, they will choose the digital companies, fintechs, platforms, instead of going to the banks, who asks financials, who ask thousands of data and documents. So these kind of fintechs and digitalization really supports SMEs, in fact, and makes the factoring companies adapted to this progress. This is very important for the future of the industry, I believe.
Hey, enjoying this podcast? Hit that follow button for more. Done? Let's get back to it. Irina, let's talk about supply chain finance, also known as reverse factoring, payables finance, because really the volumes aren't anything, they're not huge yet. They're a drop in the ocean when you look at the wider trade and factoring volumes. How can EBRD help prepare and help develop its partner banks and other financial institutions to really help grow that increasing demand for supply chain finance?
There's a few dimensions. As I mentioned, when responding to your first question is about clear legal environment. This is where EBRD, with the support of different teams within the EBRD, can help the governments and authorities in drafting law, clear regulations. The other thing, what we as a trade facilitation program can help is technical assistance. It's not about only awareness, education, but it's also about bringing the experts in the field to help partner banks to identify the best business models adapted to the market, also advise on the different platforms and digital solutions, and to have this best experience offered to partner banks. This will help our local markets to be prepared and scale up the business. This is the work obviously we do together with FCI, but this is, as I mentioned during my panel, it's a journey which we're there, to help and support. We see the progress in the countries, where we started 7 years ago, like Georgia, like we haven't recently had a workshop in Jordan, where we see also, market is more adaptive, more ready, to look into this type of product. I think we can help.
Thank you, Irina. I'm going to ask you a difficult question. You've mentioned technical assistance and you've mentioned education. And I look around the room at the EBRD TFP and I don't see many younger professionals or emerging leaders in the industry. And I think it's been quite often recognized that there is a lack of new entrants into this market of supply chain finance. Irina, question to you. How do you think that we can get young professionals to enter this area of financial services, supply chain finance, factoring? What can we do and what can organizations like EBRD do to help?
First and foremost, in any profession, it's to have a really strong foundation. Without the strong foundation, you cannot excel. But in addition to the strong foundation, of course, it's extra things that, young professional can do. And there's a lot of opportunities in terms of dwelling into extra courses like risk management, supply chain finance courses. There's a wide variety of universities or FCI, they provide these courses. So you learn more in detail, in depth about the products, the variety of the products for the receivables and payable finance, but also it's about getting the experience, right? And here I think, young professionals shouldn't be afraid to either do internship or junior level position to really hands-on learn about how it's been done, what are the processes, and be ready, to learn from the experts and ask difficult questions and be prepared to take on more responsibilities. For me personally, I think when you're young, I think you need to invest and be ready, to work harder, maybe longer hours. But I think this will pay off you at the end of the day.
Work hard, but it will pay off. And it sounds like the industry is open. Çağatay, I'm going to hand the mic over to you for the final question, which is quite a tricky one as well, given the pace of change in the industry. What do you see as the key trends that will shape the future of factoring and supply chain finance just in the next few months, 3 to 12 months time, perhaps when I'm sure we'll meet FCI at Seoul at the annual meeting?
I think this digitalization is the key trend for factoring, not only for factoring, for every industry. Everything is becoming digital, automated and electronic, and we need to update ourselves to become a more digital player in the market. When we reach to this level, then everything will go more smoothly and seamless. This will give us speed, this will give us effectiveness, and this will also attract the attention of the fintechs, then the attention of the young people, as Irina said. Because the young people, they are not preferring to work on traditional business. They are trying to find new technologic and high level and startup business, which could be a case in this industry via digitalization. This digitalization will be a game changer in every industry. And everybody should adapt herself to this development, to this progress. If not, we will be out of the market.
New financial products, new themes, new technologies, New markets, new regulations. It sounds like there's quite a lot going on in the supply chain finance arena and also in the factoring arena. That was Çağatay Baydar, chairman of FCI, and Irina Tyan, principal banker for the trade facilitation program of EBRD, joining us here in Yerevan at the EBRD annual meeting. Thank you very much both for joining us.
Thank you very much to you.
Thank you so much.